This week, we have continued to read Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami. And even though more questions arise as you breeze through the words, both stories subtly intertwine more and more. We learn that the narrator's shuffling password is End of the World. This password gives access to the drama, aka the shuffling mechanism. He was told from the beginning that he was part of an experiment, yet he seems to have forgotten about this. In this chapter, we learn more about the town's mapping done by the Dream Reader. To summarize, the town is surrounded by a wall which is divided by a river. There are 3 bridges in the town. The river passes through the east wall, but pulls out the south wall where the water exits via a huge whirlpool. To me, this seems like an awful lot like an underground sewer system, which would lead to a similarity towards the other story. And then the narrator gets a call from the chubby girl, learning that the Inklings may have infiltrated the lab. She says that they are both in danger and that they decide to meet up. The chubby girl doesn't show up and the narrator returns home just to be invaded by Junior and Big Boy, who then proceed to trash his apartment. Town exploration leads to a forested area within the walls. Even though the colonel warns of the approaching winter and how dangerous the woods are in the weather, he disobeys and continues to travel as the unicorn's fur changes from gold to white. His travels lead to a foundation near the wall. Unfortunately, he falls asleep, sharply wakes up to a cold winter forest, walks and walks until he leaves the forest. He then gets a fever. After his apartment was trashed and he is left with a gash in his stomach, the narrator finds Dando's Red and Black. This book leads to the narrator thinking about how the character of it has all his life cemented onto him at age 15. He says it was like sealing yourself into a dungeon, walled in, nowhere to go but your own doom, walls, a world completely surrounded by walls. He sympathized with the character. This could be an indicator that the 2 stories are entangled. The Dream Reader is nursed back to health by the colonel. He has a severe fever for a few days, and while being treated by the colonel, he tells him that when the shadow dies, their minds go with it. The Dream Reader manages to smuggle a completed map through his shoes without the colonel's knowledge. The narrator learns that the grandfather worked for the system, and he and the chubby girl talked about it under the sheets. Then they go to eat. The chubby girl's office residence was completely searched, just like the narrator's. They then find a cryptic notebook that tells them they have 36 hours to make sure that X doesn't happen. He doesn't know what to make of the dreams, and then the colonel explains that the dead unicorns are incinerated, all but the skull, which is then to be interpreted by the Dream Reader.